Federal bureaucrats are stonewalling my latest attempt to figure out just what the heck was going on with Chrystia Freeland when she greeted a Saudi teenager at the Pearson airport in January. You know, I really don't like to give the public, or the government for that matter, a sneak peek at what I'm working on before I'm ready to drop the bomb. But more and more lately, I have to, because how I have to come by a story and the stonewalling from the federal government to prevent me from doing a story in the first place is often becoming a story in and of itself. Let me show you exactly what I mean today. Last month, a Saudi teenager named Rahaf Mohammed Al-Qanoun fled her family by jumping on a flight to Thailand. Then she began making appeals for asylum on her Twitter account, saying that if she returned to her Saudi family, she would face abuse, persecution, and maybe even death after she renounced Islam. Now, according to the BBC, Al-Qanoun had been on a trip to Kuwait with her family when she fled on a flight to Bangkok on the 5th of January, saying she intended to take a connecting flight to Australia and that she had an Australian visa. But she says her passport was seized by a Saudi diplomat when he met her coming off the flight, leaving her stranded in Bangkok. Al-Qanoun told reporters she was subjected to physical and psychological abuse by her mother and her brother, and she feared being kidnapped back to Saudi Arabia by Saudi government officials. Al-Qanoun's tweets from Bangkok went viral internationally. What happened next was astounding. The Canadian government intervened at light speed to get this young woman to Canada. It took a matter of 8 days for Al-Qanoun to get to Canada after her very first tweet was sent on January 6th. And let's be clear, I'm not disputing that the Canadian government should or shouldn't have helped her. If she was truly facing religious persecution, she's high on my priority list to come to freedom in Canada. But when Al-Qanoun arrived on Canadian soil at Pearson Airport, the scene was a zoo. Was Canada's top diplomat, Global Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland, using this young lady as a partisan campaign prop, parading her around in front of the media fresh off the plane, in a United Nations baseball hat to top the whole spectacle off. Just look at this weird behavior here. Okay, so everyone, this is Rahaf Al-Qanoun, a very brave new Canadian. And Rahaf wanted Canadians to see that she's arrived at her new home, but she's had a very long and tiring journey, and so she would prefer not to take questions today. So please respect her. She's a very brave young woman who's been through a lot, and she is now going to go to her new home, and then I'll come out and say a few words. Freeland was hanging all over that poor girl like a recently divorced housewife after 2 bottles of cheap Chardonnay. It was weird. It was unprofessional. And the whole debacle prompted a lot of other questions. How did that media circus ever come to be? And who thought it was a good idea to make the rescue of this girl a partisan liberal stunt? And so many other questions too. For example, how was the government able to intervene so quickly to get this young lady to Canada when a persecuted Pakistani Christian like Asia Bibi languished for much, much longer before finally Canada intervening? Over 3 months she waited. How did this young lady's immigration to Canada happen so fast? And with obviously a lot of clear Canadian government intervention, when survivors of genocide like the Yazidis languished for 15 months before the federal government was able to immigrate just 981 of them. And that program to save Yazidis, it's not accepting any more applications. I wanted to know who was pulling the strings and who was putting the pressure on. And again, none of this is to say that this young lady shouldn't have come to Canada. What I am saying is, why were forces in this feminist government instantly mobilized for her, but never for any of the other women endangered at the hands of Islamic extremism? So we did what we always do, and we filed a Freedom of Information request into the federal government On January 14th, actually we filed 2, but they were completely identical. One went to Immigration and Citizenship Canada and the other one went to Global Affairs. We asked the 2 separate ministries to provide copies of all documents, including emails, memos, briefing notes, communication plans, Q&As, media lines, text and or instant messages, waivers, etc. regarding the planning and preparation for the arrival at Toronto Pearson Airport of Rahaf Mohammed Al Qunun and the presence of the Minister of Foreign Affairs to welcome her, covering the time frame from January 1st, 2019 to January 14th, 2019. Just 2 weeks is the time frame that we are asking for. And really, Al Qunun's first tweet was sent January 6th. So really, I only want 8 days of information from the federal government. So last week, we received a letter dated January 30th, 2019 from Global Affairs Canada. It reads, in accordance with paragraph 9(1)(a), an extension beyond the 30-day statutory limit is required since meeting the original time limit would unreasonably interfere with operations of the department. Consequently, an extension of up to 180 days is required to complete the processing of your request. And the response we just got back from Citizenship and Immigration Canada is exactly the same as the one we got back from Global Affairs, except they just sent it to us in an email and not a letter. Beyond the statutory response time of 130 days, they too are telling us that they need another 180 days extension to respond to our requests for information. So in all, absent of getting another extension, and it's not all that unusual for us to get slammed with 1 or 2 more extensions, it will take up to 7 months to get our hands on 8 days of information about how Rahaf Al Qunun came to be in Canada, with Chrystia Freeland slobbering all over her like a fool at the airport. My prediction is that I won't get to see these documents in September. September is right before election season. Actually, I'll be shocked in September if they don't take another 90-day extension, which would put the government right on the other side of the next election. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Hey, did you know that there's another way to get your Rebel Media fix? All of our premium shows are available as downloadable podcasts. You can find them at therebel.media/listen or find us on any of your favorite podcast directories. And while you're there, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review.